Welcome to the Heart-Centered Entrepreneur Podcast. I want you to be rich. Yes, I want abundant financial success for your business. But I don't just care about your business making money. I care about you too. I want you to be rich in happiness, in the impact you make, in your relationships, and in how you give back. I'm Anna. I built my six-figure business as a side hustle while I was pregnant with my daughter in 2016. Now I've helped dozens of women do the same. I'm here to help you build a profitable, heart-centered, fully booked business with the latest tips on sales and visibility, with proven mindset hacks, and sneak peeks behind the scenes with what's working right now in the online space and in my business. Ready to make more money with heart? Let's go. Hi, friends. I know I'm supposed to be on a podcast pause because I am still resting and recovering from my surgery. I'll give you that update, but I just had to come on and chat with you guys and just know how much I am so grateful for this heart-centered entrepreneur community. I'm so grateful we get to do live together. I think we're almost like 4 or 5 years on the podcast now. And if you've been with me from the start, I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of this journey. So first news is I had my skin cancer surgery. Everything was completely removed 3 weeks ago, and my beautiful best friend came down and stayed with me and hung out with me during the surgery and after, and I am doing so well. So if you're a client of mine, thank you so much for your grace with allowing me to reschedule sessions, and just so thankful for, obviously a very difficult thing, but just all the support and love that I felt. I just could not be more grateful. Of course, I took the opportunity to create a new resource for my mastermind ladies. I have a document in the mastermind called Scale Your Business. Take a break and scale your business. Because really, I feel like so much of my scaling success came early in my business because I started my business when I was pregnant and about to take a big maternity leave, right? And what I noticed is because I was going to take a big break, I had to figure out very early on, how do I make the business operate without me? How do I really create consistent cash flow even when I take breaks away, right? I kind of established my business with that foundation. And I started seeing this pattern that all of my clients that scaled the quickest were because they had to take away for a reason. Like they were going to Europe for a month, right? Or they had some sort of illness, or like they really had to leave for a month. And so I really encouraged the women in the mastermind to take a break, to take a 3-week break, to take a 2-week break, whether it's for vacation or something, because it really forces you to scale your business, right? To create systems, to figure out how to not do your marketing and visibility day to day in the moment, to really have team you can trust. And whether or not you're taking breaks from your business, it really just makes it run smoothly altogether. It's almost like they say, the book Traction talks about like how to build a business that you can sell. And I really feel like even if you're not going to sell your business, preparing to almost sell it almost forces you to make it more efficient, which is nicer for you too, right? Okay, I digress. So anyway, I've had this document in the mastermind for a while, but I just have never had to take an emergency leave from my business. And so in doing this and taking really like a 2.5-3 week leave from my business unexpected, I created some new systems and processes and swipe templates and emails so that if that ever happens to you, I hope that it never does, but if you ever have to take an extended break from your business because of an illness of yourself or someone that you're caring for, I hope that you can use those email templates to be able to email your clients and connect with your team. And I just made a simple 3-step process. So hopefully that makes you feel a little bit more bulletproof if you're a client of mine, that you have those resources and templates. It's so funny. I was doing a sales call for the mastermind, and one of the ladies is like, my friend referred me to your mastermind because she just said the templates and worksheets you have are awesome. And I think it's really because I think when we're short on time, it can be so easy to have something to start with, whether it's a client that has a late payment, or we're launching a program for the first time, or we're designing a group program. Having some sort of starting point and framework, I think, is so key. And I think a lot of business coaches swing one way or the other, where they're like, here's the exact formula you need to follow to have 6-figure or multi-6-figure success. Follow that to a T and do not deviate from it. Do not listen to your intuition. Do not honor your personality or your life season. Or the extreme, which is like, there's no templates, there's no guidance, follow your intuition, and it's kind of like easy to get lost. And so I really feel like the reason why my clients have so much success is I have so many templates, so many frameworks, so many swipe files, but I also have the belief that it's just a starting point, and tweak it however you want, or, follow your intuition along the way. So anyway, I digress. The reason I wanted to pop on today is to say that something exciting is happening, you guys. I'm buying a new car. I'm buying a brand new 2024 Tesla. And I just wanted to celebrate that with you because anytime I do something new or big in my life, I just hope it's the biggest expander to you of what is possible, right? If Anna, who is a single mama, who is completely providing for her kids all alone, who is living in San Diego, which is not the most affordable place to live, right? If she can do it, if she can work part-time hours and create all this expansion, I can too. You can too. I hope that when I bought my house last year, and was able to save that $200K cash to do the down payment and everything, I hope that was an expander for you. And I hope this is an expander for you too. So I'm just celebrating this for all of us. And I want to tell you the story just because, this podcast has no real purpose other than I miss you and want to talk to you. Okay. So I've been and I wanted to talk too about how I still feel scared to make big decisions and kind of how I think through it, because I think there's this thing in the online space of you should never be scared to invest in your business or buy a house. It should always feel completely aligned. And I do believe in alignment, but every time I spend money, I get nervous. Okay. So I just wanted to validate that. And talk about my process in case you're in the middle of any big decision in your life or business. Maybe it's starting your business and really going all in. Maybe it's quitting your job. Maybe it's buying a house. Maybe it's buying a car. Maybe it's changing your business model. Maybe it's making an investment in a coach and you've really never done that before. Maybe it's hiring a team member, hiring your first VA, or maybe getting ready to hire your first OBM or bigger team member, right? These risks can be scary. And if you're I'm a safety freak. I am a safety freak. I like to cross my T's and dot my I's. And so if anyone can invest big amounts of money, if I can do it, you can do it for sure. But I just feel I do it in a really thoughtful way. So I want to talk about my process a little bit and also tell you a funny story. Okay. So I've been thinking about buying a new car for at least 2 years now, right? Actually, probably more 3 years, but I was I really want to focus on getting my house, acclimate to that, and then figure out the next thing, right? So anyway, bought the new house, but I was still kind of on the fence because I bought my RAV4 before my daughter was born. So I've had it for over 8 years and I get kind of sentimentally attached to things. Okay. Especially, maybe you can resonate this if you've been through a hard season. If there's something that's gotten you through a hard season, it's hard to let it go, right? Maybe for you, it's a friend and maybe that friendship is just ending, right? But it feels but they were there for me during that time, right? It can be hard to let that go, right? For me, this car really was the car that got me through a very, very hard life season where it was, I had a lot of support, but at the end of the day, anytime we face some sort of very hard thing or abuse, it really is you against the world in some ways. And so I just really feel that car was my safe space. That car was how me and my kids would leave when we needed to be safe. And so I just have a lot of appreciation for that car. And for me, a car as a woman represents independence, right? I think about times when women didn't really drive, right? Or I just feel having a car is such a privilege and an honor, and I do not take it lightly. I think about that when I bought my house. It was only a few decades ago that women could not buy a house alone. And yet here I was able to go to the bank and buy a house. I am so grateful for that privilege. And so I think saying goodbye to this car is just it sounds so funny, but you guys, when I got rid of my yoga mat 2 years ago, I had this old yoga mat from Walmart and I just used the dog out of it through my divorce, through everything. And I just cried on that mat. I sweated on that mat and I knew it was time for an upgrade because it was so sad looking. Okay. But I was sad to let it go, right? It's just, for me, it's the same thing. And so I think for me, it's thank you for just letting this process be my little mini therapy session, but just having so much gratitude for that chapter, but also knowing it's time for an upgrade because the RAV4 was starting to cost me more money from after a car gets, because I had bought it used when I bought it 8 years ago, right? So it was starting to really I think I have 200,000 miles on it, and just starting to cost me more, and going to the auto shop. And so I knew it was time. So even this month, I started researching cars more. I even took a Tesla for a test drive, but my kids were asking me, and I'm like, no, it's still going to be a few months, And anyway, I kid you not, I dropped them off at camp this week. And they're like, are we going to get a new car? They asked me, and I'm like, no, we're not getting a new car. I go through Panera, through the drive-thru before yoga. I was about to get some oatmeal, okay? And literally my car starts going up I thought it was smoke. It was actually steam, but what I think is smoke. And my whole car gets enveloped in this large cloud of smoke. And I'm like, is this the way I'm going to go? It was not very fun, right? So I get out of my car, and all of a sudden, all this liquid starts pouring out from the bottom of my car. And I'm like, okay, what? Anyway, so first turn my car off. It's fine. I end up being able to drive out to the parking lot and go in to get my food, because I can't forget about that, right? And I love my insurance company. They're amazing, which thank goodness for good insurance, right? I had this fear when I was starting my business that I, was going to lose the stability, but I forget as a business owner, you can buy whatever insurance you want. So now I have the best ever car insurance. I mean, which I had before, but I had the best ever medical coverage, right? My whole skin cancer situation is costing me basically nothing, right? And I just say that because that was my biggest fear of leaving a corporate job, because I didn't really know anyone who owned businesses. And so I was like, what about my 401k? What about my insurance? And I wish someone would have told me Anna, you can open your own 401k, and actually you'll contribute more to it on your own than you did with your employer, right? You can actually afford your own medical coverage, even though it can be complex, right? Okay, anyway, so I digress. I get out there. Fortunately, my insurance company sends a tow truck. But funniest story, you guys, so the tow truck driver comes out with his wrench, opens the hood of my car. I'm like, wait a second. Aren't you the tow truck driver? What are you? He's like, let me take a look. He doesn't even ask. So he just pops open the hood. I'm like, okay. No one was stopping him, right? He's like, you just have a loose hose. Anyway, I poke my head in there. You guys know last time I poked my head in my car, I had a possum in there. I wonder if this is related. Do you guys remember that? I shared that on Instagram stories last month. I had a possum, a full possum, nestled in my car. Possum was fine. I was not, okay? I was shrieking. My kids are like, Mom, why were you lifting up your legs because I'm terrified of a possum in my car, okay? Anyway, so it turns out it was just what do you call that? A rubber hose was disconnected. So he was like, you just have to reconnect this hose. I'm like, okay, great. My dad loved doing stuff like that. So anyway, he ended up towing me. I was going to have me tow me to the shop, but he ended up towing me to my house. And anyway, my dad was able to fix it, which is fortunate because I'm going to resell my RAV4, hopefully. But I was I felt it was just the biggest wink from the universe, message from God that Anna, it's time. It's time. It's time. It's time to move on. It's okay. It's okay to get a new car, right? It's okay to change. And the reason I talk about this is because I think when we see people do upgrades, we think it's always glamorous and fun. And yes, I know this is a lucky bitch problem. I'm getting a new car, wow, poor Anna, right? But I just want to talk about that sometimes change is hard, even when it's good change. And I think that's why some of us resist change, because we're nervous about it, even if it's good change, right? I cannot tell you how many sessions I've had with clients where we're talking about what are they afraid of when it comes to getting fully booked with clients? What are they afraid of when it comes to making more money? I spend so much of my coaching there because women say, I'm nervous I'm going to get fully booked in my business and then I'm going to be a bad mom, or I'm going to be overwhelmed, or my clients are going to be disappointed, or I'm going to be making $400K a year and I have to pay more taxes. Or you would not believe how much that fear of success holds us back, right? Because our brain doesn't want us to change, even when it's good, positive change. And so I'm sharing this to let you know, sometimes we have to be forced into it. So I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. I'll get a new car. I'll work on it, right? So anyway, did a little bit more research, did a little bit more work, and ended up making the decision to buy a new car. So grateful, get to pick that up this weekend. And I feel as soon as I made the decision and I put in my deposit, I just started crying happy tears because I feel so fucking grateful. How blessed am I that I am able to afford a new car, right? How lucky am I that I have a new house? How lucky am I that I am safe and I have a house that is filled with peace and love and comfort, like that I have clean drinking water, like really, really, really grateful. And I do not take that for granted for a minute. And so for me, after I made the decision and I was pouring tears, I was like, okay, good, I made the right decision, right? Because before any big decision, I just want to normalize it's okay to be on the fence. I always ask my clients this question when they're making a big decision. What percentage of the decision do you want to be in order to make it? And where are you at now? For example, if you're thinking about like, should I get a divorce, right? Maybe they're in a very hard situation, and you're like, I really want to be, for me, I wanted to be at 80% sure in order to get the divorce, which sounds weird, right? But like it took me years and years and years and years and years of trying to make it work and, just having a lot of guilt around the decision. And so I was like, if I can get myself to 80%, I know that'll be enough because I know I'll never be at 100%, right? So there were seasons where I was at 60, where I was at 70, where I still feel like I had more to give, more to try. But then I knew once I was at 80, it was time to make the decision, right? And I say that because I think sometimes I share in my book Freedom Fund that my coach Lacey told me this when I was deciding if I should quit my job. Like, I was trying to find the perfect decision, right? And she was like, none of them are going to be perfect. If you keep your job, there's going to be upsides and downsides. If you quit your job, there's going to be upsides and downsides, right? Stop looking for the perfect decision. Find the decision that is best for you. And that changed the game for me. And as soon as she said that, like I remember exactly where I was in my bedroom. I knew it was quitting my job because I was like, this isn't perfect. There are downsides of quitting my job, but it feels right. And there's so many more upsides than staying in the situation of my day job, right? So I just think it's remembering every decision is going to have downsides. You are never going to feel completely certain or perfect about something that entails some amount of risk, right? We're never going to feel like there's always going to be, there's never going to be a perfect decision. So anyway, I hope that that's helpful for you if you're on the fence of a big decision, a big risk. And what I want to say too is like, let yourself take your time, even in the process of deciding what new car I wanted to get, the timing on this new car. I've been going back and forth with my coach on this for a few weeks. And I was like, should I get this car? Should I get that car? Should I do this sort of thing? Should I, do a loan? Should I buy in cash, right? Like, I just been playing out all the scenarios and I'm just so grateful for a coach that is with me in that, right? And I would come to her one week and be like, I think I'm going to do this. And she was like, okay. And I'd come to her the next week and I'd be like, I think I'm going to do this. And she'd be like, okay. And then finally I'm like, okay, I made my decision. And I think what I want to say to you, if you have a coach, is just remembering to be messy with them. And the best coaches are going to be okay with you changing your mind, exploring other paths, because in that process of, anything in business, we have to get messy. I think about all my most successful programs and launches. Really, they've gotten there by being messy along the way. Trying this program name. Okay, that name didn't resonate. Guess I need to update the name of my program. Trying this format. Okay, that didn't work. Trying this bonus, right? Trying this messaging and marketing. Like, trying is the only way to get clarity, right? You've seen that diagram where it's like, we want complete clarity to take action, but it really is action that gets us clarity. It really is those micro failures, or that like, tried that shirt on and nope, I don't like how that looks on me. Right? And you sometimes have to try things on. So stop making the no's, stop making the failures mean that you did it wrong. Make it mean that you did it right? This is not grade school. This is entrepreneurship. This is not a day job. This is entrepreneurship. And it's just a different line of thinking that like every mistake you make is the best data and the best education, right? There's not a single successful entrepreneur out there that isn't failing, that isn't making mistakes, that isn't, quote, learning lessons the hard way, right? And so just want to say that. Okay, this was just a hodgepodge and an excuse to catch up, but I would love to hear from you if you're in the middle of any big decision. And the other thing I wanted to say is like, take your time. I think there's a fine line between like, I felt like when I decided to buy my car this week, even though I didn't have to buy it with my RAV4 basically exploding because like actually my dad fixed the hose and it works fine now. But it just felt like in my head, it was like the wink from the universe and like, ooh, I felt ready, right? And wait for that. Wait for when you feel ready enough, because I think sometimes there's this message in the online space that's like, just invest or take the leap, like jump in the parachute will appear. Maybe that works for some people, but that does not work for me. You know what works for me? Having a regulated nervous system. You know what works for me? Being mindful. You know what works for me? Not being guilted or pressured into something. And that's what I want to say. That's what I tell all my potential clients on sales calls is like, I absolutely think you should buy this program. It will change your life. If it's true. If not, I will be like, I'm not the coach for you. But what I will say is like, what do you need to feel good about this decision? Like, do you need to pray? Do you need to talk to your partner? Do you need to journal? Like, what do you need to feel at peace about it, right? Because, and I think that's why I have such a great client success rate and a great retention rate is because once clients become a client of mine, I'm saying the same thing to them, but in different scenarios, right? Like, I'm going to give you the best business advice I can, but at the end of the day, you're the CEO and you need to make that decision because you're running your business, and I'm going to stand by you and I'm going to support you, but I'm going to let you make that call. And so I think that's why in sales, it can be so empowering to just always like pass it back to the client. Of course, like why would we do anything else wise, right? It's sad. But just really empowering the client to make their best decision, to take their time, to be mindful, but also like not to take too much time. Right? Because then I think we get stuck in overthinking, we get stuck in fear, we get stuck in what ifs, and it's really remembering that we really need to play the game of using time as data, right? Like the quicker you make the best decision you can, the good news is if it's a good decision, you're on your way. If it's a bad decision, then you know that and then you can shift, right? But if you're just waffling in this like messy gray, then you're not doing either. I always tell my clients, like when you launch a product, give it 100% because you'll either make a ton of sales or you won't make sales, but at the end of the launch, you'll have a ton of data. If you half-ass the launch, you won't know, did it not sell because I half-assed it or did it not sell because something is off? But if you come to me and you're like, Anna, I gave this launch my all and it still didn't sell, we can be like, great. Now we know that wasn't a factor. We know that something else is. Is it the size of your audience? Is it your messaging? Is it something, right? And so just remembering that it's useful to know I did my best. I made the decision. I'm moving forward. I'm having data. And then I can always shift, right? Okay, love you girlies so much. Let me know if you're in the middle of any big decisions so that I can say a prayer for you for divine guidance. I know, and I just want to say a prayer for you now too, that you will be guided whatever you're in the middle of, whether it's a big decision, whether it's a lot of my clients have been facing like chronic health issues lately and feeling like stuck at knowing the best treatment. And so if you are stuck in the middle of a challenging chapter, a challenging decision, I just want to know that I think about you, I love you, and I'm just praying for God or the universe or whatever is that divine source of courage and direction for you. I just pray that would be louder in your heart this week, that you would have breakthrough or direction or signs from the universe. Hopefully will not be in the form of your car blowing up. Thank goodness that happened in the drive-thru and not the freeway though, right? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So God will take small winks from the universe, right? Small winks, small nudges, small reminders. We do not need anything massive. Okay, sending you the biggest hug, and thank you so much for all of your DMs and kind support for the skin cancer thing. Basically, if you missed the memo, I had basal cell carcinoma. Am I saying the right one? Basically, the one that is non-life threatening. They were able to completely remove it with surgery. It's the most bizarre procedure, and I'm so glad I took time off because it was very mentally challenging. A little bit of a rough physical recovery, but I am on the mend. It was 100% removed and I am doing great. And I just had this beautiful scar that I'm continuing to wear scar tape on and heal. So thank you for all your love and notes and DMs. So many of them made me cry because I'm just so thankful for you and your support in this community and just very, very grateful. Okay, I'll go before I start crying again. Thanks for hanging out today. Please hit that subscribe button so you can make sure to stay updated anytime a new episode drops. And I would love for you to join me in my free Facebook community. It's called The Heart-Centered Entrepreneur. We discuss the podcast episodes. I regularly go live and do free trainings. And you may even meet your newest biz bestie. So you can join at heartcenteredcommunity.com. It's absolutely free and I cannot wait to see you in there.